Good evening, Zimbabwe. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America in Washington. I am Gibbs Dube on Livetalk.
And I'm Marvelous Mhlanga-Nyahuye this Friday, November the 12th, 2021, broadcasting from my home in Washington, D.C. due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Tonight on Livetalk, we are talking about COVID-19 and other issues.
Yes, we come today on a very sad day. Gibbs Dube, as one of our own, Peter Banga, who we worked with here at Studio 7, passed away last night. So these are some of the issues we'll be discussing, looking at the legacy that he leaves, as he used to cover stories to do with disability.
Yes, Marvelous. So according to the Minister of Health, there were no deaths yesterday recorded, when we look at COVID-19. And there are roughly about 27 people who actually were tested and found to be to have COVID-19. So I think somebody is trying to call us, and we're going to respond to the call shortly. So in the meantime, let's proceed with the show. Marvelous.
Yes, and we are still under COVID-19, and we look at the government saying that they have vaccinated over 3 million people, but need to vaccinate 10 million people for the country to reach herd immunity. So these are some of the issues that we'll continue to look at. But like we said, we'll also be looking at the life and legacy of Peter Banga.
Yes, Marvelous. So according to the Minister of Health, more than 3.6 million people have actually been vaccinated in terms of, in fact, it's 3.4 million people that have received their first wave of the COVID-19 vaccine. And there are roughly about 2.6 million who have received their second jab. Kunjalo, Marvelous. Qhubeka khona.
Aiwa, tinokuchingamidzai nemufaro pano pachirongwa chedu, kunyange hazvo nhasi zvinhu zvisina kutimirira zvakanaka semhuri yeZimbabwe, sezvo mumwe wataishanda naye mutori wenhau Peter Banga akawanikwa iye achitisiya nezuro manheru. Asi tichange tiri kutaura isu pamusoro pezvakawanda, tichange tiri kutarisa nyaya yeCOVID-19, tichitarisa isu kuti pari zvino hurumende inozivisa kuti yawanikwa iyo ichibaya vanhu nhomba vanodaudzira 3 million pari zvino, uyezve vanotarisira ivo kuti vabaye vanhu vanosvika 10 million kuti vawane yavanoti ivo herd immunity. Saka tichange tiri kutarisa izvozvi nezvimwewo zviri kuitika. Gibbs.
Marvelous. Kunjalo-ke uhlangothi lwezempilakahle lubika ukuthi sokulabantu abayi-27 abatholakala izolo bele COVID-19 ngesikhathi kungela muntu obulewe yi-COVID-19 ngosuku lolu. Lubika njalo ukuthi abantu abayi-43 baphephe kumkhuhlane lo. Nxa sisikhangela-ke abantu sebebulewe yi-COVID-19 kusukela nyakenye bayi-4,694. Bese kusithi-ke nxa sisikhangela amajekiseni, abantu asebehlatshiwe amajekiseni bafika 3,422,734. Kuthi asebehlatshwe eyesibili bayi-2,678,090. So-ke kukhanya ngazani kuyahamba sibili uhlelo lolu. Singathi abahlatshwe okokuqala izolo bafika 14,124. Kwesekusithi abahlatshwe ijekiseni yesibili bayi-78,341. Kunjalo-ke nxa sikhangela-ke ama-active cases e-COVID-19 khona manje kule-404 cases. So-ke eZimbabwe kukhanya ngazani i-recovery rate ingani iphezulu. Marvelous. Inani langkhona i-96%. So-ke sibona ukuthi-ke sokulabantu 128,231 asebaphepha kumkhuhlane we-COVID-19. Phakathi kwabayi-133,327 abahlolwa batholakala bele COVID-19. So siyabona ukuthi hayi kukhanya ngazani kunjalo-ke. Marvelous.
Aiwa, sikutaura kuri kuita Gibbs apo pari zvino denda reCOVID-19 richirimo munyika, uyezve bazi rezveutano vari kutaura ivo kuti kunyange pane vanhu vanga vari kuwanikwa vachibatwa nedenda iri, pane yavari kuti iyo 96% recovery rate kubva kudenda iri. Asi shuviro yavo ndeyekuti vawanikwe ivo vachibaya vanhu nhomba yeCOVID-19 vanosvika ivo 10 million kuitira kuti denda iri risarambe richipararira munyika. Gibbs.
Yes, Marvelous. And we seem to have our first guest, that is Mr. Masimba Kuchera, who is going to talk about Safari Njema, one of our correspondents who actually passed away last night. So, Mr. Kuchera, welcome to the program, sir. Mr. Kuchera, I think you are muted. Can you unmute your button and join the show, sir? So I think he's trying to unmute the button. At times it's a bit complicated, but I know he's going to unmute and join the show. So while he's trying to join the show, Safari Jema was one of the reporters that we had. We used to do a lot of features, and his features were in depth, and he had so much detail in him, like you listen to his story, you will really feel as if you are in the same situation that is actually, reporting on. So he was one of the reporters who was really excellent in his job. So ke lapha ke izilukanda basikhuluma ke ngosafari njema obhubhe ebusuku. Lo ke kade reportela umsakazo weStudio 7. So kunenge esizakuzwa ngakhonokho akade kwenza emhlabeni. So ke silo mnumzana uMasimba Kuchera ukhona khonapha ke singazi ukuthi ucingo lwakhe luqhunywa kuyini. So ke marvelous nxa ungazama umzama from there try to call him sibone ukuthi singangena njani laye khonapha ke emsakazweni. Kunjalo marvelous. Qhubeka mama.
Aiwa, sekutaura kuri kuita Gibbs nhasi yatingati mhuri yeStudio 7 yawanikwa ichirasikirwa zvikuru apo tawanikwa tichimuka kuno tichinzwa kuti mumwe mutori wenhau Safari Njema weStudio 7 awanikwa iye achirasika, haana kukwanisa kumuka, awanikwa achishaya mushure mekunge arara nezuro, haana kuzomuka muzuva ranhasi. Saka vazhinji vari kuwanikwa ivo vachitaurawo pamusoro pemarasikiro aita mukoma Safari Njema, vachitaura ivo kuti vanovarangarira vachiwanikwa ivo vachiita nhau dzatingataura dzevakaremara. Asi pane mumwe mudzimai wandandiri kutaura naye pachirongwa cheLivetalk akwanisa kuzonga achipinda programu yapera. Regai tinzwe mazwi awanikwa achitumira pamusoro pekushaya kwavaSafari Njema. I think
there's a problem with your kind of connection. So I think I've got
if
Mr.
you're watching me
Mr. Kuchera. Mr. Kuchera, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. How are you?
No, very.
Our condolences.
Oh yes. Tell us a bit about Safari Njema. His passing.
No, it came as a shock. I remember a couple of weeks ago, he called me. He wanted me to come to his school to just speak to the students there around issues of disability. So for us, it's come as a big shock, and considering the work and life that we had, both as a journalist with the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, and then also with Studio 7, I think that it is a big loss to the disability community. Only a month ago, we were together at a certain meeting, and he had ideas of stories and news, and that he wanted to air on the show. And as we were saying, that he was there were a lot of features. He was involved in a lot of features that he used to do. And I'm sure now we are going to miss all that.
Yes, so akusitshela ukuthi ube indoda enjani uNjema.
uNjema ube ngumuntu esingathi he was a humble man. Wayengumuntu ukuthi engakucela something, he would follow you up to ask if you have not forgotten ukuthi umthule okuyi-comment la lokho ayafuna ukuthi kodwa in all my interactions with him, he came by as someone who was a humble guy, someone who was interactive, who wanted to speak to people about almost everything. So he tried to interact with everyone. And when you met him, he also tried to ensure that people also got a bit of interest in news, a bit of interest in disability activism.
So how involved was he in disability issues?
He was very involved. I know that he was part of the National Council of Disabled Persons in Zimbabwe. He was part of that. I think he was in the board of that. But he also was teaching journalism at the Polytechnic. So I think they also infused disability into his teaching. But you also found him doing a lot of news stories, very interesting ones. So I think that he was someone who remained a disability advocate all through his life.
Marvelous. Yes.
Vakukura tinokuchingamidzai pano pachirongwa chedu. Tinoziva kuti imi makashanda zvikuru naPeter Banga. Mungatitsanangurawo kuti munoona achirangarirwa sei?
Ndinoona ari munhu watashuwa zvikuru, munhu airongedza zvirongwa zvake zvikuru sei takatarisa kuti munhu aifarira kutora nhau, munhu aidzidzisawo kuti zvekutorwa kwenhau, asi munhu aidawo kuti vanhu vange vachizwisisa nezvedisability. Saka tinoona kuti tarasikirwa ipapo, tarasikirwa zvisingaiti nemunhu anga akazvipira kuti anga achikurukura nyaya dzedisability.
Tombotarisa panyaya iyoyi yamuri kutaura kuti yedisability. Pane mabasa anaibata mese here kumasangano anomirira vanorarama neurema?
Utori mwedzi wapera taiti handiri kunewo musangano chose tichitaura nyaya dzekuti vanhu vakaremara vangaita sei kuti vange vachibatiranawo munyaya dzesarudzo. Saka munhu wataisangana naye apo neapo, asi ndinovarangarira semunhu aida kuti kana vakuitawo zvinozimba zvavo votifonera vachinge vachidawo comments kana kuti dzimwe pfungwa dzeduwo kuti tinoona sei kana kuti maonero edu. Saka ndinoona kuti munhu aibata nyaya nenzira dzakati siyanei vachidzirongedza nyaya dzachona kuti vakwanise kudzibude kuvanhu vange vachiziva zvinhu zvinenge zvichiitika.
Kuchera ngasikhangela sibili ukuthi umnumzana lapha wayeme njani, akusitshele ngamafitshane sibili kumbe welule sibili sizwe ukuthi uNjema wayengumuntu onjani.
Umona njengani uNjema ube ngumuntu ukuthi
sondele efonini yakho baba, sondela sibili asisakuzwa kangako.
umona njengani uNjema ube ngumuntu owayezimisele ukuthi akhulume indaba ze-disability, afundise ilizwe ngokuthi i-disability injani. Kodwa ngibona njengani ubaba uNjema ube ngumuntu njalo engathi owayehambo kakhulu. Ube ngumuntu ukuthi ungahlala laye phansi likhulume indaba eziningi, libonisane, lixoxisane ube ngumuntu owayelesikhathi for everyone. Basically, he was trying to ensure ukuthi nxa ufuna ukuthi ube lesikhathi sakhe, ube lesikhathi sibile sokuthi awunike isikhathi lihlale phansi likhulume lonke.
Sicela ukuthi uzatsheta mbijana ngoba kule background noise ezwakalayo. Faka ifoni yakho kumute khonapho ukutshela. Ifaka kumute ifoni yakho. Kwenze singaphikhi noise ngapha. So kunjalo ke siyamuzwa ke. Marvelous, we are also joined by Nomathemba Nhoro. She is in Bulawayo. She's talking about COVID-19. Then we'll switch back to this issue concerning Njema. So Nomathemba Nhoro, welcome to the program, madam.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, tell us a bit about your experiences with COVID-19 in Bulawayo. We know that you're one of the people who is in this kind of church movements in terms of you're a Christian, so Christians have been affected too by COVID. So tell us a bit about your experiences and all those kind of things in English. Then we'll revert to Ndebele. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. COVID has really affected us, affected me, my community, and those that are around me. you find that I fell sick in January. I contracted COVID, and my experience was that people are not, they're kind of ignorant,
Mhm.
or sometimes people choose what they want to hear about these things. You discover that the people would rather believe myths other than scientifically proven information that is dished out there. So people tend to be careless because there's Zumbani, people think they can steam it away. I'm not a medical professional. Well, that may help, somewhat, but it is proven that it does not cure COVID. And so I find that in my community, because of all those things surrounding the sickness, people tend to want to believe what they want other than taking what the health professionals are saying. And it has indeed affected us. We've lost a lot of people, and churches, have been on lockdown as well as businesses, and that has brought in a lot of problems. Especially, I enjoy working with the young people. I discovered that during this COVID period, children are very, very stressed. I don't know if people have noticed that. Um, it is all because of COVID, having to be locked down at home with parents. They can't see their friends, they can't go to school. And when schools have opened, they discover that they have a lot of work to do and they can't cope. And so a lot of stress is actually going around, but a lot of carelessness as well is happening around my community.
So, what did you go through, when you contracted COVID-19, and where are you now in terms of, your body absorbing those kind of viruses and, most probably fighting against them?
For me, it was the most difficult time because at the time that I fell sick, the week I discovered I was positive because I was feeling all sorts of things. I'm an asthmatic patient. I was born asthmatic. So to me, it came as a huge shock. The thought that I could actually die and leave my children. And it was so unfortunate that within that same week, I lost my former boss, somebody I cared about so much. So while he was being buried, I was also, in bed sick with COVID-19. But I want to just, appreciate the medical doctor who was looking after me, the way he dealt with the situation in my mind.
Mhm.
The reassurance, the reaffirmation that it's going to be okay, you're going to be all right. For me, I think that the same stance that was taken on HIV, I think that it also needs to be taken on these pandemics, like even COVID-19. There's no counseling that comes. Just given your results are positive, you just need to go and deal with yourself. And so the psychology, the pain, and the stress that happens, in the mind, then affects the body, and you can't heal when you are under stress. So I'm glad that my doctor sat down with me and talked me down because I was up there with anxiety and stress. So mental health also comes into play because when you communicate to your body that I'm going to die, I suppose the body also responds, to that. So I received a lot of psychological support. And so in terms of the way the disease affected me, um, I'm really, I'm glad, and I was doing a lot of reading around, because, I'm asthmatic. So obviously COVID-19 is a respiratory disease. And so I also then discovered that the medication that I am already on because of my condition sort of like assisted me in the sickness. And so when I discovered that, because I would feel wheezy and, I would feel like I can't breathe, and I would use my inhaler, and that sort of like assisted me. I'm not saying that the asthma medication cures COVID-19, but I'm just simply saying that it assisted me in the management of the disease since it's a respiratory disease. But of course, the after effects were bad. I had to learn how to walk. I couldn't walk. I would just take, short walks, and I would feel extremely, extremely tired. But it really, it was a trying time for my family. I'm somebody who looks after a lot of children. I have a family, I think we are like 11 in the house. So you can imagine that when it's COVID, it means if we're not careful, everybody's going to get it. But I'm grateful that we followed the protocols that are laid down. I quarantined myself in my room for 14 days. Would talk through the phone. The children would sit outside the window. We chat that way, and none of my family members caught it from me at that stage.
Marvelous. There you are.
Aiwa, apo tiri kunzwa munyarikani vedu vari kutaura ivo vachiti vakange
Hi, I can hear you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Hang on there. Hang on there. No. Ubambe khona.
vari kutaura ivo kuti vakange vakabatwa nedenda reCOVID.
Okay, I don't know what's happening to volume.
Yeah, okay. No, this side is okay. So hang on there. Hang on there. Quiet, Marvelous.
vari kutsanangura ivo kuti zvizhinji zvakavabatsira panguva iyi semunhu anorwara nechirwere cheasma, vaishandisa inhela yavo yakavabatsira panguva iyoyo, asi vachitiwo zvimwe zviri kunetsa pari zvino ndezvekuti vamwe vanofunga kuti zvinotaurwa zviya kuti ukanwa zumbani, ukanatira, ukanwa jinja hauzobati COVID, asi vakaona kuti izvi haisi chokwadi, nekuti vana chiremba vanotaura ivo kuti munhu anofanira kunge achiwanikwa iye achishandisa zvinenge zvataurwa nachiremba wake, kuti kana uine denda iri reCOVID-19 wanikwa uchiita zvakati nezvakati, kunyange hazvo zvimwe zvinotaurwa zvechivanhu zvakadai sekunatira uyezve nekunwa zimbani zvichibatsira, asi vari kuti ivo semaonero avo ivo kwavari izvi hazvina kunyatsoshanda, sezvo vakawanikwa vachizobatwa nedenda iri.
Yes, I think Nomathemba is back. Nomathemba siyakubona suphendukile mama. So ke wena ngokubona kwakho ubona ngani kuyini okwenza wasila sibili? Isibindi, iwusilandela okufunakalayo kumbe kwahamba njani mama?
I think it's a combination of everything. I can't exactly point out ukuthi into yi-one. But of course, njengomuntu okholwayo kuJesu, ngiyabonga ukuthi ultimately God is the one who takes us through difficult situations. But imbona ngazani izinto esizitshelwa esifundiswayo ukuba lesibindi, ukulandela imithetho esiphiwa konke khonokho mina mbona ngani yikho kwancedisayo ukuthi ngisinde kulo mkhuhlane.
Yeah, so ke abanye abazange bawubamba umkhuhlane endlini la kwenza njani khonokho?
Like I'm saying ukuthi salandela ama protocols on lawo that are laid out. Fortunate enough, in our home, my bedroom is such that there is an outside door that leads outside. My sister would literally put a bucket, elamanzi, allergic and many other things. Ngaqeda ukudla ngiphosela khona phana izinto engizisebenzisileyo and ngahlalela khatshana. I would see my children from a distance. I would see everybody from a distance. My husband from everybody, I would see them from a distance. And I made sure that I am totally quarantined away from everyone. Ukwenzela ukuthi ngingabatheleli umkhuhlane lalo, even ukugeza, everything. I used my own things until I was okay. So when they were tested, everybody was found to be negative.
Kwakuthatha isikhathi esinganani ukuze ubone ukuthi lapha suphephe kumkhuhlane lo?
I think it was a good 12 days ukuthi lami ngizizwe engani sengingumuntu ngoba lokudla ngangakwanisi. I was having ama problems ngokulala, but since after 10 days kwasokungani sokusiba ngcono, though I had long I don't know whether they're called symptoms. I had long symptoms that stretched me up to about 3 months. After testing negative, I still, continued to suffer from, headaches and dizziness and not being able to walk properly.
Yeah, Marvelous, you can pose a question in English. I think she will respond.
I'm not sure if she can hear me, actually. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, clearly.
I was interested that you said that you had family. So how did you manage to isolate? Do you have small children? What kind of protocol did you use for those that are listening and have big families?
I have a big family, Marvelous. I've got children that I look. I've got 3 of my own, but I have a huge family. So because at that time it was in January, because of my condition, being an asthmatic person, I knew on the onset that I had underlying conditions. So I was very, very conscious of what I feel. Each time I felt a wheeze, each time I felt some discomfort in my breathing or coughing, I was very alert. So when I discovered that I was feeling a little fatigue, I quickly told my husband, I'm feeling okay. And then at that time, the symptoms were still, minimal. So how I managed to isolate myself was that even that slight sneeze, I quickly isolated. And then, of course, we had a chat with the family. I told them, guys, I don't think I feel okay. I think you guys should excuse me from everything else. And I isolated. We actually clear to make sure that no one was in contact with me. I isolated in my own room. They would give me food through the door, through the windows. We would talk, chat while they were sitting outside the window or outside the door. I would never let anybody. My family did not see me for like 14 days, like physically look at me. Would talk on WhatsApp, do video calling, or they would sit outside by the window and I would sit inside the room and would converse that way.
Mrs. Nhoro, how difficult is that in a real situation?
It is the most difficult thing because, look, when you are in a situation like that, all you want is family. You want someone to hug you. You want someone to pray with you. You want someone to be there. There were times when I would not be able to go to the bathroom and I would ukuganga amadolo,
Mm-hmm.
to go to the bathroom. And there are several occasions I will not make it to the bathroom. You understand what I mean? So at that time, you really want someone to hold you and take you to the bathroom. But it's a time where you're alone, and it is very, very difficult because you don't know if you're going to come out of there, or that's it. You're not going to see your family again. It breaks you down as a person. It really, broke me down.
Mm. So unfortunately,
And I would just feel like,
your phone is cutting a little bit. So okay, so I think your phone is cutting a little bit, but stay there or continue. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you now.
okay, all
Go
right.
ahead, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So it was a very emotional, draining experience. And so it is important for people to continue to check on one another, the calls, the messages. But I discovered that the minute someone is pronounced COVID positive, people sort of like want to stay away from you. And I think that's the worst time. That's when you actually need people more than ever before.
Marvelous. Maybe I've got another question before I ask Ndebele.
I think let me go into Shona. Unless, do you speak Shona?
Yes, I do. I do, Marvelous. I speak 3
Okay, good.
languages fluently.
Great. Chii chamungati chingadzidzwawo nevamwe mhuri dzine vana vakati wandei panyaya iyi? Ndanzwa muri kutaura imi kuti makawanikwa muchigara muri mega kwe14 days. Vamwe vangadzidza chii panguva iyoyi yekuti munhu abatwa anzi iye ane COVID-19? Vanhu vari kuwanikwa vachiita stigma here kana kuti zvakafamba sei? Zviri kufamba sei?
Chandingataura ndechekuti chekutanga ndakaona kuti zvakakosha kuti even semhuri titaure nenyaya yeCOVID in our homes, because ini ndakatomboita dambudziko rekuti ndine vamwe vana vanga vaitoona sekuti ijoku nyaya yeCOVID. So mukange muine munhu akadaro in the family circle, munhu iyeye even chero pakaita munhu ane COVID anozongotora zvinhu very lightly. So I think it's important zvakakosha kuti semhuri vanhu mumbodiscussa nezveCOVID and teach each other what should be done. And kana muine makawanda semawandiro atatakaita isusu zvakakosha kudzidzisana, like I'm saying, kuti following what has been laid down, kuudza vana kuti vanzwisise kuti chinombonzi COVID chii. Kana mama vakanzi vaine COVID, it means vachagara murumu mavo vari vega. You can talk to her nefoni kana kunotaura navo nepawindo or something. Izvozvizvi zvinoita because vana havanzwisise why wakuvharirwa murumu wega. Vakangowana an opportunity vanomhanya vopinda murumu. Saka isu zvataita dho rangu raigara rakakiwa. I think maybe that's the other thing. Aida something and aida chinhu kwandiri had to talk to me wovhunza ndoda chakati chakati kana kuti muri sei imomo, because vana they will just walk in and kana wamu isolation, that's a danger point. Saka I think zvatingadzidze as families is being open about COVID. Paunenge usiri kunzwa zvakanaka, the first people you should tell imhuri yako yaunogara nayo. I see Marvelous has dropped off.
Yeah, usedrope off kodwa ke ungafaka ngesikhiwa khona kunjalo okade ukhuluma ngakho mama. Yeah.
Yes, I was just saying that for us, okay, what I can say, what I've learned from this experience is that when you have a big family, you need to discuss these things. We used to talk about COVID in our prayer sessions. Like in the evening when we are having our prayers, we would continue to remind each other, guys, there's sanitizer outside. Before you walk in, please wash your hands. Don't come into the house before you've washed your hands if you're coming from outside. Make sure that you take off your clothes that you were using, hang them outside. So every day, and actually it was my duty. I took it upon myself as a mother because I realized that I have an underlying condition. And if I don't educate my children, my family about COVID-19, it will be a problem. So educating, I know we are seeing a lot of information on TVs, on radios, on flyers, on Facebook and other social media platforms, but there is no better place than learning from home. When you talk about these things, then they get to ask questions.
I think,
they would ask me, you know, and I'll be able to respond to them.
Yes, yeah, we really hear you. So ngicela ufake isindebele futhi khona ukuthi abantu bakhuluma ngeCOVID kumele bafundiswe njani ukuthi iCOVID kuyini mama?
Kumele I think mina ngibona ngazani i-information yokuthi iCOVID kuyini kumele senzeni isiphiwe njalo inengi in a lot of places, but ngibona ngazani okumele sikufunde njengabantu yikulalela. Angazi ukuthi yindaba abantu siyasadalwa angazani sifuna ukulalela okungayisikho more than okuyikho esikufundiswayo. So ngibona ngazani njengezimuli, apart from learning or hearing this information from out there, kuqakathekile ukuthi lathi sixoxe ngekhaya ngeCOVID. Abelembuzo babuze ukuthi mina kanizwisisi kade okuyinto lokhu kuhamba njani, abantu bafundisane. So thina sasiba lama flyers khonapha kumbe siplay ama video, guys libonile yini lokhu kuthiwa khathesi sokule symptom le, khathesi sokula lokhu la lokhu. So learning from home and discussing as a family helps as well.
Yeah, Marvelous, you can pose another question. Go ahead.
Tombotarisa kuti nyaya yedandemutande tinoona Ministry of Health inotaura iyo kuti magrupu emaWhatsApp nezvimwewo ndo zvimwe zviri kuita kuti vanhu vasanyatsotarisa kuti COVID-19 iriko uyezve vasaende kunobayiwa nhomba. Munoona sei izvi? Makakwanisa here kutaura nemhuri kuti vanhu vasarambe vachiteedzera zvinobuda mumadandemutande asi vateedzere kubva kune vana chiremba?
Yeah, ndizvozvo Marvelous. Unfortunately sezvandambotaura kuti misinformation ndo inenge inotambirika kuvanhu more than zvinhu zviri kutaurwa nana chiremba. Isusu semhuri ipapapa ndinotori ne1 nanhasi asati abayiwa, haasi kuda kubayiwa, ari kubhiliva iye anotoona sekuti COVID yachona haisitombori COVID, it's just a flu. But isu tese the first opportunity yekuti tinobayiwa mukana wacho pawakavhurika takanobayiwa. What zvimwe zvinhu zvandakaita ini, I have a few family members and friends who are in the health sector, vana chiremba. Takaorganize Zoom meetings as a family, tikapinda tikaloga in, tikaisa pa big screen TV, and we chatted na family doctor wedu tichimubvunza mubvunzo, vanawo vachibvunza vachidi. Saka tikabvunzawo nezvemavaccine iwawo. I remember my boys, vakomana vangu vahombe vaitoseka kuti mama, takaona uchinzi ukabaiwa hauzoiti vana, muchashaya vazukuru nenyaya yemavaccine. Saka the doctor, a family doctor, akatibatsira kuti aiwa vakomana, munogona kutozoita vana kana 10, 20 kana mchida yenyu baiwai, mavaccines are safe.
Yeah, so kufake sibili ngesintu khona ukuthi abantu bekuzwe langesikhiwa. I think it's very important to hear some of these things, you know.
Yeah, so bengisithi ngilabangani lemuli abangamadokotela abasincedisayo. I remember at one point sayenza iZoom as a family, safaka sibili ku-TV laphana, udokotela wethu sambona, family doctor wethu wasichasisela, sibuza imbuzo. Ngilabantu abangamafana abase-university, you know those ages, they are inquisitive, they read. So bathi mama, sesizwile phela thina ukuthi singahlatshwa ama-vaccines sisagcina singasazali, lisagcina lingalabazukulu phela singakuyahlatshwa. So udokotela was able to unpack, wabaphendula imbuzo ukuthi hayi ngitsho bafana, hambani liyehlatshwa, abantwana lizaba labo even 10 nxa lifuna. So it's important ukuthi siyedinga information ebantwini abafundeleyo abalolwazi. Nxa sebesiphila information leyana, ngihlala ngisithi mina Mr. Dube, nxa ngigula ngilomkhuhlane ngiyahamba kudokotela, udokotela afika anginike i-prescription. Angaze ngibona umuntu ohamba ethwele i-prescription yakhe emgwaqweni, ehambe ebuza ukuthi bakithi udokotela ungipha amaphilisi lawa, kambe angasebenza, kambe ngizasila. So why kumele ngikwenze nge-COVID? I have to listen to my doctor because he's qualified to share that information with me.
Go ahead and put it in English.
Okay, so I was saying, I think I did put it in English, but I was just saying, for us, we created an environment where we have a health professional in the form of a doctor explain all these things to the children. I remember my boys were saying, Mom, we probably won't be able to have children because we've seen on WhatsApp groups and on Facebook and other medias that if you get a vaccine, you will not be able to have children. And the doctor was able to answer them, to tell them, to say, look, you guys, go and get vaccinated so that you protect yourself, you have a good life, you are going to have children. So all these things can be cleared, and the people to clear these things are there. We've got doctors everywhere. So for us as a family, it's really worked out so well to seek information at the right place and get it. And we managed to do that for ourselves.
Yes, marvelous. Go ahead.
Tiri ipapo tinoona vazhinji vanotaura nyaya yekuti inwa zumbani, inwa maremoni natira. Panyaya iyoyoyo makaionawo yakamira sei?
Marvelous, it's an interesting one. But for me, indakakurira kumusha, sezvo ndambotsanangura kuti inini ndakazvarwa ndiri asthmatic handiti. Vana mbuya vangu vaindinatira, vaipisa matombo. Sorry, my shona is a bit funny sometimes.
No, okay.
Vaipisa matombo mumoto kusvika atsvuka kuita red, and then they would throw them in a bucket resimbi. Oita zvokukwata zvezvi, and then they would cover me with a blanket. I was asthmatic, saka ndaizarirwa. Saka zvekunatira zvezvi, I think zvine kakubatsira kazvinoita, because I think zvinhu zvatagara tichingoita even pasati pave neCOVID. Lemons, they have their own health benefits in our body. So people used that as like a cure to COVID, but I think it's just one of the things that give health benefits to the body. So I did use the Zumbani. What I got from it was just the relief. You sweat, when you sweat, like after jogging, when you relax after that, you feel refreshed. So I think the body would feel some kind of relief, but it was now going around with cure, musabaiwe, and so forth, which was misinformation.
So now, how critical is it? Is it for you to be supported by your husband in such issues?
It's everybody needs a support system. It's a great. I remember when I was in isolation, he would, he didn't want to isolate and be on his own, because he would be saying, ungavuka ufile, abantu bangini ngizabatshelani. So that is, while it is an act of love and it's very much appreciated, but with COVID, we have to be careful. So it took so much convincing to get him out of there. He would say, no, you sleep on the bed, I'm going to sleep on the floor. Ungavuka ufile, izihlobo zakho ngizazitshelani. So in the end, we agreed that it was for the best. And again, our doctor stepped in and really assured us that you guys, it's for the best that you isolate. It's only for a few weeks, well, a few days, that is.
How difficult was that?
Well, it was difficult, because you're longing for the company, but I think I enjoyed the space, sleeping on the bed by myself. It was, it was okay, because I knew he was there in the next room and would talk, and of course we wouldn't be seeing each other, but it was fine. But it is difficult because we all need that support system.
Yes, ngathi ke ukusekelwa ngubaba kutshoni kakhulu nxa kuyikuthi usesimeni lesimama. Akutshele sibili abantu kwezithi bazisize ukuthi umkhuhlane weCOVID lo ume njani. Namhla siyathaba ngoba sicele wena sibili wena wedwa ukuthi ubuye usitshele ngakho nokho.
Yeah, Mr. Dube, iqakathekile i-support, but I think nge-COVID kumele ukuthi ngiyabeloke ngibuyela back ekutheni i-COVID ibuhlungu ngoba ayikhethi ukuthi khathesi ngcono kusala umama, ngcono kusala ubaba. Abanye abantu bagcine belahlekelwa impilo ngoba babesizwa belothando kakhulu towards omunye wakhe. Like for instance, mina umngami wayengafuni uku-isolate. He would say to me, manje ungalala ungagula kakhulu ebusuku, ungavuka ufile, izihlobo zakho ngizazitshelani, ngizabatshela ukuthi kwenzakaleni. Khona kuyatshengisela of course ukuthi uyandithanda and all, but uzifaka la engozini. So i-COVID iyasehlukanisa, not because kumele sehlukane, but because per chance omunye angayibamba engaphunyuki. Ngcono kusalo yi-one, uzasale khangela abantwana kulokuthi sihambe sonke. So and also ukuthi simise i-spread, ngoba la ngayithola umntwana la uzathi mina udede ukuthi isolate ngingamboni vela kuyenza. We feel that love for each other's family members, but kuqakathekile ukuthi silandele imithetho esitshelwa ngudokotela ukwenzela ukuthi sisinde.
Yes, awuzwa kakhulu ke mambambe khonapho ke marvelous.
Gibbs, maybe before I go back to our guest, let me just play a message that came in from one of our listeners, a condolence message actually to Peter Banga's family that came in before we end off the program, and I'll come back to you, Ndoro. Hold on, please.
Magadi Tete Mave. Sitarangu ndinonzi Jetsi Charuma ndiri ku-SA muJoburg. Ndiri kuda kungotaurawo maererano nababa Banga vatinowanikwa vachitisiya. Ndinoti kumhuri kwaBanga tine urombo kuru nematambudziko. Tarasikirwa chokwadi. Ini baba Banga ndakavanzwa katatu kesi vachitaura maererano nevanhu vanorarama neurema. Pekutanga ndakavanzwa vachitaura kuti mabuildings emuHarare anoda kuti agadziriswe zvipindirane nevanorarama neurema. Ndikazovanzwa zvakare vachitaura kuti mabhazi anoda kugadziriswa. Vanhu vane urema vari kutambudzika pakukwira mabhazi iwaya. Ndikazonzwa futi vachitaura kuti vanhu vane urema havana rubatsiro. Vazhinji vacho vari kutambudzika, vaitokumbirawo rubatsiro kuti dai zvanga zvabvira vanhu ivava vabatsirwa kuti vagone kuraramawo zvakanaka. Saka munhu anga akanaka, munhu anga achibatsira, munhu anga ari mutungamiriri akanaka, aigona kutungamirira boka revamwe vavo. Saka ndinoti tinemi pamunamato mhuri yekwaBanga, chemaine tariro muchiziva kuti death is the way to see heaven. Baba vaenda pachigaro chaMwari, nesuwo tese tichateera. zvakuda kuti muzvibvume muzvitambire kuti mugone kupora. Ndozotendazve nenyaya yemabhonasi.
I will stop there because she went on because she wanted to
Yes.
talk about the bonus issue, but because of time, we can use that later on next week as we still are to go into bonuses. We were hearing there from one of our listeners who was on my earlier program, Let's Talk Ngati Kurukurei, Jessica Charuma in South Africa, who was actually offering a message of condolence to one of the reporters from Studio 7 who we lost last night. And she was just, recalling how she remembers some of the stories that Peter Banga, known as Safari Njema here on Studio 7, covered. And she actually, states that she remembers that he covered a story about, accessibility of buildings in Zimbabwe not being, accessible to those who live with disabilities, and also the issue of how they get onto public transportation. So those were words there that were really going to the Banga family. But coming back to you, Ndoro, mamuri kunzwawo mamwe mazwi enyaradzo ari kubva kune vamwe takarasikirwa nemumwe wedu weStudio 7 nezuro. Mataura imi kuti denda iri reCOVID-19 idenda ratingati riri lonely, nekuti murume wenyu aidawo kuti ange ainemi, asi nenyaya yekuti chirwere ichi chinotapurirana, vana chiremba vaiti aiwa aisafanira kunge aive nemi panguva iyi. Mungataura kuti chii kune vamwewo madzimai vakateerera, kana vamwewo, nekuti murume anogona kurwara mukadzi asiri kurwara, pakadaro panoitwa sei?
Pakaoma because ndoona sekuti isusu vanhu vechiAfrican tiri vanhu vari, we are so, I don't know kuti varara ndingashandise ndiripi, tiri vanhu vanongodyidzana. Saka zvokunzi munhu kana arwara ngaagare ega, zvinhu zvisina kujairika zvikuru, asi zvakangokosha kuteerera mitemo yatinopiwa nana chiremba, nekuti COVID tine dzimwe mhuriko zvino vana havasisina vabereki. I remember reaching out kune imwe mhuri vakapedzisira vazoshayika, taivabikira mameals tichinovapa, but isolation yachona waizoti uchibvunza kuti saka mugere sei, nekuti tatisingabvumidzwe kusvika, mugere sei, you discover kuti mai vabatwa COVID but vachiri kungogarisana musame room iyoyo yavanogara vashandisa vari vaviri, they are sleeping pamubhedha umwe chete. And of course look, zvinhu zvakangotiomera. Vamwe vedu tinenge tichitogara titori mhuri titori mu1 room imomo, saka zvinhu zvachona zvinenge zvakaoma. So families have gone through difficult situations. Vamwe vanokwanisa kuisolata, vamwe havakwanisi kuisolata, but I think pamacases tinenge tisingakwanisi kuisolata, zvobatsira kuti tiri mumba imomo ngatifekei mamaski. Ndakazozviona kuti vanhu vakasvika kumba, chero pachiuya mavisitors, vanhu vatinoziva, vanhu havapfeki mamaski, in fact hatifeki mamaski. Panenge pauya sekuru, panenge pauya ani, so tomboti mumhuri imomo, imba yedu yakamanikidzika zvakadaro, ngatishandisei mamaski nayo magloves yayo, kuitira kuti at least tishandisewo tingoshanda nezvatinazvo zvatinokwanisa, but zvinhu zvakaoma kuti muisolate, but ndozviripo, tofanira kutongoteedzera zvatataurirwa, zvichatisevha kuti at least mumwe akarwara zvikaendawo nepamwe, one akafa umwe anosara achitarisa vana.
We know that there are certain cultural norms, like when you are attending a funeral work, you have to shake hands, in the Shona culture, something like that. So how is it panning out these days, in terms of people going for funeral works? Do they still shake hands? What do they do?
Actually, it's better now. On the onset of COVID, it was very difficult because okay, and I thought I was going back to Shona. When you went to a funeral and someone tried to shake your hand and you tried to hold back, you were looked at like, you want to make yourself appear special, better than others. But I see now that people have come up with a new way of not exactly shaking and just making, a contact using an elbow. It's now an acceptable kind of a thing, and I think it's better. I'm from two cultures. My mom is in Ndebele, and so as in Ndebele, we don't actually shake hands.
Yes.
Siyakhulumisana kuphela, you know. But on the other side, where I'm married, shaking hands is like the thing. They even refer it as kubata maoko. So kana usina kutobata ruoko rwacho hauna kubata maoko. So COVID has taught us new cultures that we have to adopt for the sake of our health. Of course, zvichitanga waita kunge uri kudada makuvhaira no COVID, and you know there was a thing going around kuti COVID inoaffecta vanhu vane mari, chirwere chevanhu vane mari, because pakafa munhu ane mari zvinoiswa munewspaper, but pakafa munhu akaita saMai Nhoro asingazikanwi, nobody would really make a fuss about it. So people tended to then think that COVID is not there or is there only for the affluent.
So ke nxa sikhangela ke khonokho ukuthi abantu babesitsho njalo khona manje kume njani nxa abantu bekhuluma ngeCovid, sebekwazi ukuthi kume kunje kumbe kunjani?
Well, there will always be, you know, those who don't accept it up to now. Abalanda banje, you can even see, even usemfeni, the mask is there, they are shaking hands, they are hugging. So we still have quite a good number of our community who don't exactly, you know, subscribe to what is there now. But I think we are somewhere. So kungcono ngoba uyabona nje lezandla, people don't shake hands anymore like we used to. Even ukuhlalisana ezimfeni, people try. I recently lost my sister 2 weeks ago to cancer. So people would come in small groups, babuye bazokhulumisa, they just come, share their condolences and go. People no longer gather as they used to. You find that in the night, so selisala nje liyi-close family members abanye sebehambile. So I think the message is getting there bit by bit.
Marvelous.
Ndingada hangu kunzwa dzidziso yamungapewo dzimwe mhuri dzinenge dzawanikwa idzo dzichiwana mumwe ari pamhuri ipapo abatwa neCOVID-19. Hazvii zvamungavape sedzidziso, sekutaura kwamaita kuti kupfeka mamaski, isolation, mungavapa dzidziso ipi?
Zvandakazodzidza Mave ndezvekuti munhu especially kana munhu akurwara ngaagadzirirwe chikafu chinovaka muviri. In fact tinofanirwa kutodya chikafu chiri right mazuva ese, but because of different challenges chikafu chinonakawo. So you also want to enjoy my fries yayo, you want to enjoy KFC. But inini pandakarwara zvandakadzidza, doctor wangu akatoti immediately munhu uyu ngaadye a lot of fruits, ngaadye a lot of vegetables, stay away from fried foods, ngaadye chikafu chichamupa vitality in the body. So nekumwa mvura, vana havamwe mvura. Ndakatodzidza kuti ukaona uchimwa mvura wane nyota haumwi mvura. Mvura haimwiwe because you are feeling thirsty. Unomwa mvura because you have to continue to hydrate your body. Ukamwa wane nyota handifungi kuti mvura inoenda kwese kwese kwainofanirwa kuenda. Saka muri kutomwawo yenyu mvura. So ndakadzidza kuti especially kana munhu wakurwara, we try by all means to prepare meals that are going to help the body to heal fast. And also mental health, and just staying away. Stay away from statistics. Inini ndakatombota stay away from the COVID group, because what you see there, honestly, you'll be saying, saka ndini ndiri kutevera, and you are giving your body that negative energy. Haukurumidzi kupora. So being in a space where you are happy, a space where even mentally you are healthy, zvinobatsira body yako as well to heal faster. Saka as a family, we found pleasure in sending each other funny videos and talking into the night, tichitaura neWhatsApp, which was quite good.
Now let's look at the church. You know, what type of support did you get from the church, and you know, how good was it? And are there any church members who still believe there's no COVID as well?
I got a lot of support from my spiritual leaders. I remember one of them called me pa WhatsApp, zvikanzi ndiri pagate, Noma ndauya kuzokuona, I'm going to have some time with you, but ndinenge ndiri pagedhi. I mean, can you imagine the person drove all the way from their home, akauya akapaka pagedhi, and prayed with me, read scripture, and we talked, even tisingataure zveCOVID, just general stories, because kana wapa situation you don't want to continue to dwell on that thing too much, zvinostressa. Saka takataura nezvimwe zvinhu zviri different. So I got a lot of support from church. My friends would cook food and bring for me takura, my favorites. My friends who sing, they would come by my gate, very 3, 4, 5. I love singing, and they'll be at the gate. They would tell me Tiripa gate, and they would sing for me. Ndiri Mumba. So I got a lot of support from the church. I don't know if there's people who still believe in the church that there's no COVID, but I think that, look, people believe a lot of things, but churches have opened up, and we've begun to go to church, and the
I think she's getting a bit cut there, Marvelous, because the network at times, misbehaves and all those kind of things. But hopefully she'll come back and we conclude the show with her. But we're happy that she's been with us, for a long, long, long time now. And she's in Bulawayo, and she goes to the SDA church in Bulawayo. And she is one kind of a strong woman. And she says, with all the support, you can always, conquer COVID-19.
Aiwa, sekutaura kwatanga tiri kuita ipo pano pachirongwa tanga tiri kuenderera mberi tichitarisa nyaya yedenda rechirwere cheCOVID-19, apo tanga tiri kutaura nemunyarikani vedu vachingotaurawo vachikurudzira vanhu kuti zvakakosha kuti vanhu vadye zvinhu zvinovaka miri panguva iyo kana mumwe mudikani awanikwe iye achibatwa neCOVID-19. Asi chikuru ndechekuti vanhu vagare vakapatsanurana kana zvichikwanisika, nekuti sekutaura kwavari kuita kuti dzimwe mhuri dzakatowanikwa dzichirasikirwa naamai nababa pamusaka pekuti mumwe wevaviri ava akabatwa neCOVID-19, asi vakawanikwa vachiramba vachigara vari pamwe chete, vachiwanikwa vachitambudzana denda iri. Gibbs.
Kunjalo-ke khonokho kunywa nguMarvelous ukuthi-ke kunzima ezimulini lapha nxa sikhangela i-COVID-19. Nxa ukuthi umuntu engabanjwa i-COVID-19 kumele phela kube leminye imigoqo elandelwayo ukwenzela ukuthi umuntu engabulawa yi-COVID. So nxa behlezi khonapho-ke ezindlini, umama-ke uNomathemba Nhoro besitshela esithi hayi kunzima ukuthi ukhanye uhlala khatshana labantwana, uhlale khatshana lendoda lezinto ezinjalo. Njalo lokuthi nxa esidla kumbe esenza konke-ke okumele ukuthi ngakakhathalelwa ngabanye abantu, kuyabe kusinda okunye okumangalisayo. Kodwa yena uthi ngokubona kwakhe wazama ukuthi aphephe kumkhuhlane lo ngendlela eziphakeme kakhulu. So kunye kwangikhona ukuthi kwakumele ukuthi kungene enhliziyweni ukwenzela ukuthi kukhanye ukuthi yena uphila njani. So-ke labantu babebuya bemkhulekela. Omunye wangikhona wayengupastor owabuya egedini, wafika-ke wahlala egedini, waxoxa laye, bakhulumisana, watshaya iscripture ekhona ngale, kwaba njalo-ke Marvelous besenza ama-scriptures, into ezinjalo. Ngena-ke Marvelous.
Gibbs, I actually wanted to see if I could play a snippet of a report from Safari Njema, just to remind people of his voice and the kind of...
Unfortunately, we are left with exactly 1 minute.
Yeah, I think we can sneak it in.
1 minute 30.
Yeah. Let's see.
Nyanzvi munyaya dzezveupfumi vaMasimba Kuchera avo vasingaone vanoti vakaremara vanofanira kuvevo mberi pachirongwa chekubayiwa nhomba yeCOVID-19.
Changa chaizova chinhu chakanaka kuti vakaremara vange variwo mumapoka ekutanga kubayiwa nhomba iyi. Zvikuru sei takatarisa kuti vakaremara vakawanda havasi kuwana zvikwanisiro zvekuti vange vachizvidzivirira kubva kune denda reCOVID-19.
Izvi zvinotsigirwa navaThomas Muchanenyika avo vanoshandisa
madondoro. There we were hearing a snippet from Safari Njema, our reporter, just to remind the people that as we started the show, we talked about Safari Njema. And to the world is Peter Banga, who left us last night, and he used to report mostly on disability issues here on Studio 7.
Yes, and now we are signing off. We wish to thank our guests this evening, Mr. Masimba Kuchera, he is in Harare, and Mrs. Nomathemba Nhoro, who is in Bulawayo. She was talking about COVID-19 and her experiences. So I guess maybe she will join the show next time. Let's hope it's not because of power failure, which resulted in her getting out of the show. But anyway, we thank you so much, Zimbabwe. This is Gibbs Dube in Washington, D.C., saying good night, Zimbabwe.
This is Marvelous Nyahuye, also passing my condolences to the Banga family. Let's meet again next time.
Bye-bye.